Well, hello, everybody. This is John Byrne with Poets&Quants. Welcome to our Online MBA Backstage Festival. We have 3 terrific schools. We may have a 4th in this panel. We're still waiting on them. But meantime, let me introduce you to all these smiling, wonderful, accessible, personable people that we have with us right this minute. Okay, so from Rice University, the Jones School, Janice Kennedy, there she is. Look at that beautiful hallway. Oh my goodness. Who wouldn't want to walk down that? I would love to walk down that step and just take it all in. We have Whitney Smith from the University of Illinois, Gies College of Business, in their IMBA program. And I should mention that Whitney is Director of iDegrees and Learner Relations, and Janice is Executive Director of Recruiting and Admissions. And we have from Kentucky, Christopher Carney, the Director of MBA Recruitment. Welcome all. So we're talking online MBA programs today, and there is an incredible demand for these programs because of their flexibility, their affordability, the fact that you don't have to quit your job, you can keep earning your paycheck, you can do it and balance your responsibilities with your family as well as your workplace. And the technology over the years has improved immensely. There's a dramatic change in the ability to deliver online learning today than there was many years ago. And people who aren't as facile with technology, that would be me, a digital immigrant as opposed to a digital native, would find it very surprising to see how interactive, how dynamic, how fast-paced the classes can be and the discussions in the study groups. But yet, there are still misperceptions about online education, and I want each of you to address a misperception that you've heard in your recruitment of students or in your involvement with students or applicants. What's the biggest thing you hear, Chris, from people who are considering an online education, and they may have certain misperceptions about what it really is?
Yeah, thanks, John, for the question, and excited to be on this panel with some really good company. And so greetings from Lexington, Kentucky, first and foremost, and I hope everyone's doing well. I would say one of the biggest misconceptions with online learning is that that you can't, maybe balance your responsibilities outside of being a student. And so I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I think that being able to balance your academic, personal, and professional lives is important when you're trying to take on this type of commitment. And if it was easy, everybody would do it. It's going to be a challenge, but it can be done. So I think that was one of those misconceptions that sometimes I hear from candidates, is that they maybe sometimes feel like they can't balance it all, but you can. And that's what's great about it.
Great. Whitney, here's your chance to bust a myth.
All right. I think the biggest one we hear is that an online MBA isn't the same degree as a real MBA. And here at Gies, we call it an IMBA informally, but when you get your diploma, it says Master of Business and Administration. So I think we hear that a lot, that for some reason people think that the value and that the rigor of the program isn't as strong. And that's absolutely not the case. What's unique about it is it was designed for that learner that Chris just described, somebody who wants to do this and balance their life, but it's the same degree and it will take you the same places that a residential program will.
Great. And I just want to introduce Jim Parrish from Auburn, who's just joined us. Jim, we're talking about misperceptions that people commonly have about online education and online MBA degrees. Janice, what do you hear mostly?
I think we hear virtual means no access, and that is absolutely untrue. You can network fantastic. We've all learned, right? We've all learned in this last year, I can network with these two and I don't have to leave my office. Additionally, our professors are equally accessible as they are on campus, same hours, it's just a different type of connection.
That's really true. Jim, what's the most common myth you hear about online degrees? Oh, you're on mute. Now, I know Jim, and I know he's not lost for words. So obviously, this is a technology issue. Okay. He's checking his mic. There we go. Well, meantime, we'll move on. Oh, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. Okay, welcome.
That's like It's like those Verizon commercials. Can you hear me now? Sorry about that. So it's good to see everybody. I think the biggest misconception I hear is that an online program is less rigorous than a full-time program. I think a lot of people think, well, I'll just do this online degree, or even during times of COVID where online access was at a height, people thought, well, I can just wake up tomorrow and do an online MBA. It does still take that research. It takes the time commitment. It takes the investment, because it is just as rigorous as a full-time campus-based program.
That's true. It's not a layup. It's not an easy thing you do. It's not like having a little tiny hobby that sometimes you play with and sometimes you don't.
That's right.
It's a real serious endeavor. And that's why the schools actually have an admissions process and do interviews and make sure you're properly motivated to do the coursework and to get the most from it. So let's go down to some basics. Okay, how long has your program been around, and how has it evolved since it's been out there? And I believe that Rice has the newest program of the 4 that we're discussing today. So Janice, because you're new, you go first.
Yeah, we're only in year 3. So we have our first graduating class, 4 starts a year, and the evolution has been understanding that it's really good, that you can do it and get the same rigor as everybody else said, but that this is a Rice MBA. And so that was the big question, the big test when people started. Now there's no question. They're like, okay, I need to have my quant prep. I need to do all those things. And it's access and everything else. So we're really enjoying it, seeing a lot of growth. And we just got ranked number 6 in Princeton for online. So we're just very excited about the program and the evolution of it.
That's great. Whitney, how about the IMBA?
Sure, thank you. We launched the IMBA program in 2015, and it was built online by design. Knew that that's the direction we wanted to go. The evolution at Illinois and Gies has been that now the IMBA is the only MBA offered by the Gies College of Business. So now we really have the full support of the entire college, which has really allowed us to experience the growth that we have seen over the past several years. And the program is always evolving to provide the best experience. We've introduced a couple new innovations just this year that has given students more flexibility, and then some career opportunities as well to our students.
Great, and we'll get to those innovations a little bit later. Chris, give us the history on the Kentucky program.
Yeah, so we launched the real-time online MBA, which is a way to engage with our professional MBA or our professional MBA for leaders in healthcare, 100% online in real time, being able to build those relationships that are so important when you're doing a program like this. We actually launched it in 2019, so we're coming up on our first graduating class as well. So we're relatively new.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're even newer than Rice.
Yeah, so we're new as well, and we're all learning, the faculty, the staff, the students. And so, with this type of deliverable, we're just always constantly improving, making sure that the quality of the experience is enriching. Everyone feels included, no matter what location you're in around the country. And so that's really important to us here at the University of Kentucky, is everyone feels connected, can build relationships. It feels like they're sitting right there in class, even though maybe technically they're not. And so we're always trying to make sure that we do what we can to make that experience worthwhile.
Great. Now, Auburn, I believe, is the oldest of the 4 programs here. Am I right?
I believe that's correct. We were established in 1989 with our distance MBA program. So I think maybe we were one of the first, second, or third oldest distance delivery models in the country. And our as technology has evolved, so has how we've done our instruction. So in 1989, we were mailing out VHS tapes. And so, and
Wow.
Good luck now finding a VCR. I don't know if you've watched the last Blockbuster, but I was reminded of that when I've seen that documentary on Netflix, but we don't do that anymore, just to be clear. So as technology has evolved, so have how our delivery has evolved. And we've been streaming 100% online since around 2010. But one of the cool things about being one of the torch barriers in this space is that our faculty are very adept at teaching online learners. They have the flexibility, they understand the flexibility that these online learners need, and so they're available to that. And I think also being in this space as long as we have, we've been able to benefit from a competitive price point because we've, in small increments, been able to increase tuition, but still provide a good value for our students and their investment. So we have been in the space for over 30 years, and I look forward to being around, another 30 years as well, at least.
At least. Now
At
let's
least.
talk a little bit about what can a student expect? What is a week in the life of an online MBA student in your program? Some programs are more flexible and it's a little more loosey-goosey. You got to put in your time, but it's entirely up to you. In other programs, there are set things like live internet classes, or there could be immersions or get-togethers on extended weekends. So give us a sense for, Jim, what a typical week might be like and how much time an online MBA student should devote to their studies.
Sure. I would say flexibility is the hallmark of our online MBA program. So I would say a week in the life of an online student is that, they're really dedicating their after work hours, once they've completed some of their family requirements, personal obligations, they're diving into their coursework. We would on average say that, 12 to 15 hours per week would be devoted to their instruction. That would include watching our lectures or our studio produced content. Those are asynchronous for the most part with our program, with, again, that flexible delivery. We have several students that we get feedback from them on how to best balance the different things they're expected to do. And one of our students will always tell us that, regards to his family and obligations, that no one can miss you while they're sleeping. And so he wakes up early in the morning, or he waits till his family has gone to bed at night, and then he does his schoolwork to make sure he's balancing the commitments of his home versus also being the commitments of being a student. So I think, our program and really being the flexible delivery model it allows you to figure out what works best for you. And that's the main goal. But, we always tell students the hardest part is choosing to start this degree program. And once you make that investment, it just becomes an extension of who you are.
Right. Chris, what's a week in the life of an online MBA student at Kentucky?
Sure. Well, I'll tell you two things that it's not. It's not designed to replace your full-time job or your personal life, and it's not designed to just produce busy work to keep you just for the sake of being busy. It's real time. It's something that we believe can add value the very next day that you're walking into the office or into your organization. So we want it to be real world, real application. Doesn't mean that it's going to be easy. It doesn't mean there's not going to be some work. Obviously, there's going to be out of classroom expectations, but it's all worthwhile. It's all something that's going to help shape our graduates for a myriad of leadership and managerial responsibilities. And we really look at the long-term growth of our alumni, being able to add value for not just what's in front of you, but what's in front of you maybe for years to come. So we offer the program either in a 2-year track or a 3-year track. So that's the time commitment. But along the way, we don't want it to replace your full-time job. We don't want it to just be busy work. We want it to be real world and real world application.
And I'm going to tell you, everyone, what I really like about this panel, the differences, okay? You have 4 different programs. They're all very different from each other. But in the case of Auburn and Kentucky, they're pure 100% online, right? So in the case of Illinois, you have weekly live classes. And in the case of Rice, you have weekly classes online live, as well as a number of extended weekend immersions. So give us a sense, Whitney, of the week in the life of a Gies online MBA.
Sure. I think a lot of what Jim and Chris hit on is that ultimate flexibility. That is something that we really strive for with our program as well. And then, John, as you mentioned, the difference is that we do offer live sessions for each of our courses. Typically for each course, we offer a couple different options per week of when students can participate in the live sessions. They are also, of course, recorded so people can view them on their own time if the timeline doesn't work for you. We say that a student spends about 15 hours per week on the course. That would include the live sessions. We do have office hours that a majority of our students participate in some way to be able to have contact with the instructors outside of the classroom. We also have group work in each of our project or in each of our courses. So students can expect to spend some time each week, a couple hours a week with their groups as well. But again, flexible. Even with the groups, we poll everyone so we know what times you're available, so we can ensure that there's still that flexibility for you, and that from the length of the program, typically 2 to 3 years, but it's really up to you. We have people who come in and want to power through it because that's their personal situation in the moment. But then we also have those that want to come in, take a course, and take some time off to spend with the family. And so we really strive to make it as personalized and as flexible for everyone as we can.
Right. And how about at Rice?
Well, we just last weekend had our first intensive learning experience on campus for those who chose to join. So thank you to all this, people who cared about safety and made it work. We polled everyone, and we had a good number of people who chose to do that. So we were very excited. We've been kind of managing a hybrid on campus anyway, but to bring our online group to residential is just a really fun thing for them and for us. But importantly, they have 3 hours of live class time, about the same study time as Whitney talked about. But here's the thing to me. Those 3 hours are discussion. Those are productive, involved discussions, not the lectures where you're still could just watch that from home in your pajamas, let's be honest, as opposed to being in the room. So it's the way, it's not just flexible, but it's productive when you have to be at certain places at certain times.
In 3 hours a week, I'm assuming that's 2 classes, right? Live?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then you have the extended weekend immersions. I remember, with 2U, because you're partnered with 2U, attending one in Silicon Valley. Give a sense for how many of those are in the program and what the options are in a more normal time, which God help us, I'm praying that we will be in a more normal time come fall.
Yeah, at least once a year. And we try to do it with the cohort coming all about the same time, or 2 weekends in a row, depending on size, because they're a cohort too. So they can come more often if there's, some other classes that are being offered, but that's pretty much the standard. And it is intensive learning. That's why it's called that. It's a full-on weekend of both diving into those classes, completing a class, and relationship building and networking as well.
And I know that Gies every year invites its online MBA students to campus for a number of days for some live classes to get to meet. I remember meeting some of your students in a bowling alley on campus with a buffet laid out. So, and that's voluntary. You don't have to do it if you can't do it, but that's an option. And it's nice to see people who had only seen each other online, faculty as well, embrace each other as if they were old friends. And I see that all the time. It's really kind of remarkable. And it goes to that myth that you can't get to know your classmates, or there is no network, or you'll never make a connection with a faculty member. It's really not true. And I think another point I want to get out there, and this is really important, particularly given the pandemic and what it's done to higher education. Higher education had to abruptly shift from an in-person physical model to remote instruction. But remote instruction is not an online program or an online course. An online program and course was designed from scratch to be online. So it includes elements that are in class in many cases, and then elements that are outside. The point being that it's paced in a certain way. A lot of attention is given to how learning is transmitted, is chunked up, because research has shown that that's the best way to engage students online. So in an online program, you're not getting what actually on-campus people got during the pandemic, which is remote instruction. And I would bet that online programs delivered better quality education than on-campus students have gotten through remote instruction in the past year. You don't have to agree with me, particularly if you have on-campus programs. I'm sure you won't, but I think it's true because you have faculty who want to be online, faculty who know how to teach online, faculty who design their courses from scratch with an online learner in mind. The study groups all set up, the process is all set up so that it ensures a really incredible experience. Now, let me ask a question that I always ask when I get to campus and I go out for a beer with students. Tell me the 3 things you most like about the program. Janice, what would your students tell me?
3 things. We at Rice Business, both on campus and online, say that we have small, intimate groups. So there aren't classes over 20 for our online. So you will know each other and the teacher will know you. Everyone will know each other. So if you're wanting to hide and just have a comma MBA, this is not the place to go to school.
Everyone's in the front row.
They're always in the front row.
You
Yes,
can't hide.
that's right. That's right. But and we warn people about that because you think we're anonymous behind these screens, but we're not. So I'd say that's one thing. And I think the relationship building across the programs has continued to get better and better. We have an online alumni who's now joining our alumni board. So they are truly just different deliveries of a Rice MBA. So everybody feels like they belong. And I think that's incredibly important. And then if we're getting a beer on campus, I mean, it's probably the cheap beer on campus at Valhalla, if I'm going to be honest.
Hey.
Quite a few online students that are in the Houston area just because it works for their schedule. So they come to campus a lot.
There you go. Chris, what are your 3 things?
Sure. I think the first 3 things that come to mind when we talk to our students is the quality of the instruction. They really feel like they're learning something they can add value instantly the very next day in real time. That's so important. And so that's something that we really value here at the University of Kentucky, is just having a very great faculty. Number 2 is the versatility of the curriculum. We believe that our students need to be equipped with a very well-rounded skill set to advance and lead in different ways. With things changing so fast right now, you have to be able to adapt quickly. So we want our students to be able to get those versatile skills. And then number 3, I think that we offer the UK MBA at a competitive yet valuable price proposition. Actually, our distance learners pay the Kentucky resident tuition. So we don't charge anything in addition for this type of program. So the students are getting a very affordable package. They're getting quality instruction and they're getting a versatile curriculum.
All right, Whitney, your 3 things.
Okay, I think one Chris just hit on is the price point of the IMBA, but it's what leaves people surprised by what they get, because unlike the Rice program, our program is very large. And you do see hundreds of students in your courses. But so people are, I think, surprised by the networking opportunities that they have, both in the live sessions at iConverge, John, which you mentioned, and meetups that we do throughout the country. But then just the network that they have throughout the whole University of Illinois brand, and how much they really feel a part of the entire university, not just the online program. I think also very similar to what Chris said, the rigor and the level of instruction. We very consciously choose the most popular residential instructors that are interested in teaching online to teach in our programs. And so these are people who have a lot of experience that they bring to our courses. And I think people really enjoy that. And then just the opportunities they have to select their coursework, that we have a core set of courses, but then specializations, and are constantly adding that I think others have mentioned before, but that you can take back to work the next day. You can really pick things that are relevant to your current career or also to where you want to get. So those are probably the 3 things that we hear the most.
And Jim, what do you hear from your students about the 3 things that most resonate with them?
Yeah, well, I've said it once before, but the hallmark is really that flexibility. You're able to take your courses at your pace. Our program is 39 credit hours, and we do 2 starts a year, and you have up to six years to complete your degree. So if you need to take some time off or speed up or slow down, you can do that. So flexibility would be one of the things I would say. I would say also the return on investment. We also have a very competitive price point, and we're seeing students that are increasing their salary almost 30% by the time of graduation, and almost 50% within 3 years of graduation from when they started the program. So I say the value they're receiving from that price point that we advertise is also appealing, like the other schools here today. And then finally, I would say a sense of belonging. We talk about the Auburn family and really being connected to the larger university. So not just the MBA alumni network or your student MBA network, but also the overall alumni association from the university, and that sense of belonging and that sense of tradition and being connected to a strong campus program really allows people to be a part of something that may have been a little bit different than their undergrad institution, but they could find their place and feel like they're belonging something to bigger than themselves in the online MBA program.
Right. Now we have a question from an audience member. I don't know if anyone wants to even answer it, but it's an interesting question, and it's an inevitable one because it involves our love-hate relationship with something that's ever present in business school, in the business school world, rankings, right? So we have someone who says, hey, there are different rankings, Poets and Quants, Financial Times, Princeton Review, US News, QS. How is it possible to find the ideal school and which ranking is authentic? Now, I don't know if anyone wants to talk about that. Let me just say this as someone who, back in 1988, created the first regularly published MBA ranking in the world at Business Week. Let me just tell you that rankings are merely a starting point. They give you an idea of what the landscape is like. The biggest problem with rankings is that it's a totally imperfect and often flawed way to look at a school. You know, a school that's ranked 20th could be better for you than the school that's ranked first. It's all about fit. It's all about what you want out of the program. And this is particularly true in online MBA programs because they come in different sizes, different shapes, where many full-time MBA programs pretty much, I'm just going to say, yes, schools are differentiated at some level, but by and large, MBA programs are a commodity. That is not true in an online space because as you could see, just from the four folks we have here, four very different models. One, you never have to, there are no live internet classes and you never have to go to campus. Some have live internet classes every single week and you may not have to go to campus. Another one, you'll have to go to campus, but it'll only be for a little period of time and only once or twice a year, totally up to you. And there are 2 weekly classes instead of one that are live. So all these different models and all their different locations have important attributes that you should be factoring into your decision. I'm going to be biased. I'm going to tell you what ranking I like the most because I created it. And I really think there are 3 elements to a quality education. It's, who do you admit? What's the incoming quality? What do you do with them while they're in the program? And how do they benefit from it? What are their outcomes? And I think each of those are equally important. And probably should be looked at. So let's start with class profiles. Who goes to your program? And give us a sense of your latest class profile. Janice?
So we have an average of usually about 9 years of experience. So a little bit more experienced working professionals that typically go to the program. We've grown, and I want to continue to grow the percent of women that come to our program. We do still require a test or a test waiver. So there are aspects of illustrating your capability to do the rigor of the work. And we will always look for URMs, both in the underrepresented minorities, but also in diversity of industry, diversity of thought, diversity of location. So we truly try to treat it like the same kind of cohort we do for full-time. So that's what ours looks like.
Now, Whitney, given your price point, you have a lot more international students, right?
We do. We have about 20% of our current students are international, representing about 100 countries. So yes, quite a bit. And we're really proud of that we really bring a global perspective to the class discussions. We also have a more experienced population. The average student is about 37 years old with 12 years of work experience. And we do place a lot of value on professional experience. And that's something we really look for because we believe that the students should get something out of the program, but also that they should be able to contribute to the program and to the success of the others that going through their classmates going through the courses with them as well.
Yeah, and you just mentioned 2 points that I think are fairly common in all online MBA programs. Number one, work experience counts a lot in the evaluation of a candidate. And even when standardized test scores are required, work experience looms large. There are often waivers. And a lot of importance is attached to work experience because people are older, which is the other point. Many people in online MBA programs would typically be otherwise in an executive MBA program. They're in that age group, could be a little younger in some cases. And I understand that it is skewing a little bit younger in more recent years as people who grew up with technology are completely comfortable with an online learning environment and they're more likely to want one instead of going 2 years full time when they have to quit their job. So those are two really interesting differentiating points between a typical on-campus MBA program and one that's online. Students are older, have more experience to share in the classroom, and in the admissions criteria, work experience counts for more. Chris, how about at Kentucky?
Sure. So our class profile right now is approaching about double digits with post-baccalaureate work experience. So we're definitely bringing in some seasoned professionals from different industries, different markets. I agree with Janice that cross-pollination of ideas, that diversity of thought adds so much value in the classroom and outside the classroom. One thing we're trying to do differently here at the University of Kentucky is not just finding students with well-rounded resumes, but servant leaders that are going to take the education that they're going to get at the University of Kentucky and obviously add value in their professional careers, but also in the communities that they impact. So we believe that's very important for today's student coming out of the University of Kentucky. Beyond that, different academic backgrounds, it's all over the map. We've finally eclipsed the 45% marker with professional women joining our program. So we've been very intentional about that candidate. So we got some great things. We're still continuously improving with the international space, obviously underrepresented minorities, but we're very happy with where we are, but still moving forward and trying to bring in quality classes every year.
Jim, what's your latest cohort look like? And I should mention too, and I may have mentioned this in the past with you, that my wife's cousin graduated from your online MBA program last year. And we California. He lives in California.
That's right. Yeah, well, there's a great population of students. So we're currently sitting about 44 different states represented in the Auburn online MBA program, and so again, that geographic diversity is very, very important because once they kind of get together, even that online environment, there's a lot of exchanging of ideas. So, our profile, coming in is about a 3.3 undergraduate GPA, average GMAT score is about 600, and GRE is about 306. Our average work experience is a little around 6.5 years, but that was our most recent class. We're doing admissions reviews right now for our fall start, and I can tell you it's getting more competitive and those numbers are rising a little bit. And I think that's helpful for all of our programs, is that the demand for online learning is helping all of us. And so we can be more selective and picking the best students for our programs. But it is a point to look at that the GMAT, GRE waivers are staying so far in most of our programs. And that allows us to kind of dig deeper into an application and see how that person can contribute to the new class of students coming in. So it puts a little bit back on our shoulders as well to try and find the number of students. But I think the interest in our programs has grown and is still growing in terms of people wanting to pursue that MBA degree. So I can see some of those numbers earlier that I quoted are probably going to ratchet up a little bit as our classes become more competitive.
Yeah. And I see I have a follow-up to the ranking question that we had before, and it pertains exactly to the Gies College of Business. And incidentally, the answer to this is on our website. When we interviewed the dean at Gies and asked why he didn't want to be ranked. And I think it's a really good answer, and you've actually taken a different tack. Whitney, would you like to explain?
Sure, as much as I can. And John, you said you wrote a great article when this decision was made, and Gies did decide not to subscribe to the rankings. And the quick answer is that's because we felt like what we're trying to do and accomplish doesn't always match up to what the rankings are measuring. We really believe in democratizing education and making that available to anyone who is qualified. And so the direction we went with it, though, was to be very transparent. There is a page on our website that we update each term with all of the data that we would normally give to the rankings organizations. So that's not that we're trying to hide behind anything. It's just that we really thought that when we are making strategic decisions about how to innovate, and we're proud to be named the most innovative business school in the last decade, that we want to be able to keep thinking that way and how we can continue to make education available to everyone. And we just thought that that was the best decision for our programs.
And not to belabor this, but I just say, rankings are pretty deficient in this area. You look at the methodologies, some of them are incredibly mindless. They measure things that have nothing to do with the quality of the education being delivered. The other problem you have is the limited nature of them. The Financial Times ranks only 15 programs, period, in the world, when there are probably closer to 400 programs. That's less than 5% of all the programs available to you. What good is a ranking that ranks 15? It's worthless. And that's because schools don't want to participate with the ranking. Other problem you have is this is an incredibly dynamic space. There are new programs coming on board. Kentucky's the newest. Rice is right there with you. In the last 2 years, Rice has been ranked in U.S. News, but there's certain programs you can't be ranked at unless you have a graduating class and taken survey, right? And then there are other programs that are so brand new, they just started last year, year before, even 3 years ago, and they still can't get ranked because there's just not enough people out there to survey, and the program needs to be around a little bit longer. So you need to go well beyond a ranking to make smart and thoughtful choices for yourself. Now, another important part of an online experience is, I think, your ability to actually apply what you learn. Because, in a full-time MBA program, you quit your job and you're divorced from the work world. But in an online experience, you literally can bring a challenge that you have at work into the classroom, into your study group, can seek the advice of a faculty member, and actually get help in bringing a solution of one kind or new thinking, which is why so many people who are in online MBA programs get promotions, get increased responsibility, and get significant pay increases as a result of being in the program. Janice, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, first of all, I completely agree. And in fact, when I'm talking to prospects, I say, you really should go to your company and tell them, pick a few things that you agree you should work on during this time so that they see it's not just you benefiting yourself, but it's also a give back. And I think it's a part of the negotiation for what they can cover, whether that be in cost or in time, to say, no, this isn't just for me to grow. This is for us to do this together. You work with me and we have this one issue. I want to solve it. And really engage with your company and make sure they see that you're bringing that learning there to these other people who might see it differently, the professors who might see it differently. And I guarantee you, spending as much time as I did out in industry, when you see someone going through an MBA program, they start being different. They think differently and they show up differently. So to do that in real time certainly impacts the time on the ROI.
Yeah, definitely true. And, it's a powerful thing when you have people that you can talk to about a challenge who aren't directly related to the challenge, and can offer you really solid advice from their own experience. And that's part of the value of the network that you're creating very early on in the program, and the network that you graduate with. Talk a little bit about how you nurture and cultivate your network for the program. Whitney?
Sure. We have a couple different options. We use Workplace, a Facebook product, to allow students to network throughout the program. And then we also have our own instance that we call Gies Link that allows current students and alumni to network. And we really start that from day one with the live sessions, and especially with faculty. It's interesting, that last point. I was just talking to a student who came and said, I brought a data set from work and asked my instructor to help walk through, and they ended up spending a couple hours walking through it. So our program is large. And so if you want to hide in a corner and do that, you can, but we really want to encourage people and nurture that relationship and encourage people to network amongst each other, amongst the faculty, and those that do it really find benefit, exactly what we're talking about, in real time, because they don't have to wait 2 years to implement it. They can take it back to work the very next day. And as a result, our students see that success, getting promotions, getting raises, things like that, when typically you would have to wait to actually put that knowledge into practice.
Yep. Now, Jim, Auburn has a great brand and a great alumni network. How do you help your online graduates cultivate it, connect to it, make it meaningful?
Yeah, so we definitely connect our students not only across the online platform, but through our other suite of offerings as well. So we have approximately 900 graduate students, and because of the delivery models of our program through our executive MBA, our online MBA, our physician's executive MBA, about 90% of our students are based off campus full time. So they're in their working roles, doing their degree. So that is our model for here at Auburn. So we connect them across an internal platform, really just helping them to see the benefit and the power of the cohort and the Auburn network. And so we connect them on virtual platforms. We connect them on campus with different advisory board meetings. We allow them to really just see how the power of a network and the power of a cohort can catapult you. And we agree that, like Whitney and Janice have said, is that we practice a learn today, use tomorrow platform. And we have many students that come to us and tell us what they learned in the classroom the week before was applied to a live project at work. And so those are some great stories that we like to hear. And in the online platform, you can definitely do that. And I think, to echo what Janice said, go to your employer. What project could I work on? But I would also say, I would encourage students to go to their, human resources or upper management and say, what can I do to put myself in a better position? And we have career services and career coaches to help navigate and help you with those decisions as you want to leverage your degree. So you have an advocate, if you're part of these programs, to help you with your resume, to help you with negotiations on different things. And so being in the online program while also working full time allows you to apply a lot of things, immediately and not defer those things like you would in a full-time program.
And let me throw something else out too. I mean, it's not available to everyone, but there are a lot of people who are very lucky out there to work for an employer who's eager to invest in their development. And when you're in an online MBA program, oftentimes you can get partial reimbursement for the tuition. And the interesting thing about an online MBA program is some companies reimburse a certain amount of money per year. And you can stretch the program out and get the maximum amount of money out of your employer, which is kind of a neat little feature, that people may not be thinking about or consider if they're lucky enough to work for a company that is willing to give some money for people who want to do self-improvement. So talk about a success story. Okay. So Janice, you had your first graduating class. Can you pick out someone, not by name, but tell us their story? When they came in, what were they like? How did the experience transform them the way you mentioned earlier? And kind of what happened? How did they blossom?
It's funny. We have a small graduating class, and I'm thinking of each of them, and it occurs to me that it's really not a lot different than what we've seen in our on-campus alumni, that they've gone through it. I love when they start off saying, I am going to be a consultant at this company and I'm going to pivot. And then they go learn some of that and they're like, I'm just kidding. I'm going to go do this. Because there is this transformational nature of an MBA. It's not you have to take these things. There are core classes, but we have focus areas. We have tons of electives. We have a significant entrepreneurial aspect. So someone could be going through as a business person and come out and say, I launched a business. We have, we use our business plan competition. You don't have to be an entrepreneur to go pitch your idea with angel investors. So I can think of a couple people that started their own business and did it successfully and are already looking to sell the first one off and go to the next one. So, a gig economy, I don't know. But the point is just that it's transformational. It changes the way you think about it, and you're open to go try new things. Take some risks.
Yeah. Chris, can you introduce us to one of your students in the success story?
Yeah, sure. So there's definitely many, but as far as picking one recent one, Valvoline has their corporate headquarters right here in Lexington, Kentucky. So we're very fortunate to be able to lean on so many great organizations and companies that bring their talent to us, and also hire some of our UK MBA alums into leadership roles. But one of our alums recently became only the second woman in history at Valvoline to get to a vice president role. So we were very happy to celebrate that success story with one of our students, and she's been with the company for 15 years, and she's just blossoming every day. So we're very happy that she represents the University of Kentucky's MBA program.
And I should mention too that, an MBA is a general management program, but as Janice just mentioned, you can often take deep dives in specific areas of interest to you. And I wonder, what kind of concentrations some people call it majors, some people call it concentrations, some people call it specialties, where you might be able to combine 3 or more electives in one given field and come out with a little bit deeper knowledge in that area. Jim, at Auburn, is there that option?
Yes, there is. So we have a couple of add-ons, if you will. We have a dual degree programs where you can earn a second master's degree in finance or information systems in the College of Business. And we have a brand new master's in supply chain that's opening this fall that you can do a dual degree with that program. That's our deepest dive for adding on to your MBA. We also have graduate certificates you can earn while also earning your MBA, and those cover some informational technology and supply chain analytics specifically. But you can earn those credits while you're also earning your MBA, and you do receive an additional credential that proves to an employer that I'm not only a generalist in this particular MBA degree, but I'm also a specialist in a certain area, and I can be dropped in any situation and really make the most of it by having this credential. So it is becoming a more popular thing. We're seeing a lot of our students take advantage of the dual degree opportunities. It does extend their time in the program by a semester or so if they're on a part-time schedule, but they do see value for adding that dual degree on because it adds not only the generalist degree that an MBA is, but also a specialist for a certain area they would like to work in the future.
Right. Now, Whitney, I know you have a lot of electives and they're increasing every week, every month. Do you have focus areas for your students?
We do have focus areas. And up until last week, we required all students to choose 2 focus area specializations to go along with their core courses. We are adding a new M&A specialization. What changed last week is that we added it.
Mergers and acquisitions?
Yes. So we are starting to roll that out starting this coming year. Just announced the dates for those courses, and I've seen a lot of excitement and some alums coming back and saying, how do I take these courses as well? What we also changed though is that instead of requiring the 2 focus areas, we're now allowing students to choose an elective path. So out of all of the electives, and part of most of it is so the students have the flexibility, but then it also allows us to offer new courses one at a time that may not fit into a full focus area or specialization, but allow students who are interested in that to kind of create their own path as well.
What are some of the other focus areas? I'm sure business analytics is one.
Yes, business analytics is probably our most popular. Digital marketing is another one of our more popular ones. We just added a project management course. So the other idea behind this is we'll add some elective courses, and then if they become popular, then we can look to add other content that might pair well to create other focus area and specializations down the line.
Right. And Janice, you started this. You planted the seed about focus areas, which led me down this path. Tell us about the concentrations at Rice.
Yes, we have corporate strategy, corporate finance, investment management, marketing, entrepreneurship, and those are the functional type areas of focus, but we also have industry type areas of focus. So we have energy as an industry. You may want to be in finance function, but how does that play in energy and healthcare? So a little bit of a twist on both.
Right. Does anyone have a healthcare specialty? There you go. In Kentucky, right? Yeah. I mean, healthcare is becoming increasingly important. I mean, it's such a big part of the economy. And historically, MBAs have been few and far between in healthcare. That's going to change, I think, particularly given all the startup activity and organizations that are really wanting to disrupt that very big, very bureaucratic business. One area of getting an online MBA degree that I think a lot of people are interested in is this. You know, a high percentage, if not most, of the students who go into a full-time MBA program do it to switch careers. Some of them do the so-called triple jump, meaning they jump from one discipline to another, from one industry to another, and from one geography to another. It's long been assumed that if you do a part-time MBA, and that would obviously include an online version, you're more of a career accelerator, meaning you're getting the education to increase your self-confidence and your broader skills in general management to get promoted, get more responsibility in the company and industry you already are in. Do you think that's changing? And if so, what does your school do in professional development or career management to help people make some switches or transitions if in fact they want to do it? Jim?
Yeah, it's a great point, John. I think we're seeing a lot of our students that would want to just kind of move up their ladder in their career ladder at their organization. But I think more and more students are looking to pivot as they never have before. And so from our perspective, we actually are investing in a new career coach for online learners. So someone who may need a little bit more of attention because they are looking to take that pivot or jump or go somewhere else. So we've made the investment to help them navigate that process. With you're looking at moving in a career or pivoting, you're going to need some connections that our university can provide, because it's not so much about who you might know, but what areas we might know as well. So I think there is that real, that's really happening in the stage right now of the new learners that are coming in, because I think students are looking at staying in one place 1 or 2 years, but then completely transitioning to somewhere else, which is a little bit different than previous generations. So I think our schools need to be prepared to look for students that may be pivoting and jumping from different types of jobs and careers, maybe within the same industry, but really needing the access to go up in the organization, and in a quicker way would do that by jumping from an organization to another. So our career coaches and our professional development sessions are geared to help them understand that we know that you might be coming in not looking just to stay at your organization, but we're prepared to help you pivot to another career, to another industry, and obviously another organization should you need that assistance. And we find more and more people seeking that assistance out than we had even 5 years ago. And more folks are looking for career services at their programs to help them transition and move up. So we're happy to provide that service.
Chris, how about at Kentucky?
Sure. So at the University of Kentucky, we definitely want to meet you where you are, but we understand that might not be where you want to go just yet. So we're very fortunate at the University of Kentucky to have our own in-house career management team. So obviously the University of Kentucky has a career management team, but the Gatton College of Business and Economics, we have our own in-house team that we can lean on. So they're able to provide a very customized, personalized service. They can utilize the relationships of the Gatton College of Business, the University of Kentucky, our alumni network, our advisory boards to help our students get plugged in. There's lots of professional development that's happening in the program in terms of project management, Lean Six Sigma, international commerce and strategy. We also have a leadership series throughout the program where students get connected to even more working professionals inside and outside the program. So there's definitely a lot to keep you busy and a lot to add to your tool belt, but we definitely make it personal, make it customized, and our students definitely benefit from having a lot of that right here at the Gatton College.
So Janice, will I get a coach if I go to Rice?
Yes. How did you know? We actually have.
I know these things.
We have the Door Institute of Leadership. In fact, I think they just released a new book on, are you getting the leadership coaching you need in a university? And so we have access, as in online, on campus, students have access to get this coaching. And it's not a type where you're getting graded on how to answer it. It can be completely different. It could be, I'm dealing with this at work. Help me through this. Getting that capability to speak in a way that builds a bridge across an industry versus just your function to a function. So there's so much more than just the learning. It's the total growth and development of a person. And the Door Institute's how we deliver that part.
Yeah. And I can say, you know, when I was at Gies talking to students, I ran into more than 1, 2, 3 students who said, hey, I had a classmate whose company had a job opening and they told me about it. And that's why I'm working where I'm working today. So, you know, that kind of thing happens because when you're in a mix of other people who are smart, ambitious, focused on the careers and wanting professional fulfillment, not a job, you're going to meet these like-minded people and they're all going to look after each other. And these opportunities are going to emerge out of those conversations. Whitney, I know that Gies is also investing more on the career management function. What kinds of things have you been doing more recently?
We are, and I will say with the number of students we have, there's very diverse needs. And so it's an area that we are constantly having to rethink because we have found that a career center doesn't work because we have thousands of students with varying different careers and industries. We do a lot of what you said, John, is really trying to build that network for people to where they can reach and connect to the people that will help them the most. We look at outside partnerships, and that's one of the things that we are in the middle of pursuing right now to really help just find, no matter where people are at, if they are earlier on and are trying to figure out what path, if they need that true career coaching, we want to make sure that they get the expertise that they need. And oftentimes that's found in their peers and in their classrooms. We just need to be able to connect them to the right people.
Okay, you've all sold me. So now what do I do? What are my options? What advice do you have for me? Can I be a fly on the wall in one of your classes just to get an experience to see what it's really like? What's your advice, Janice? Where do I go now since I'm sold on getting an online MBA?
Yes, well, it's funny because of everything you spoke about with remote learning versus on campus versus online, we created an entirely new event series called Find Your Fit. What is remote? What is online? What is on campus? What are the age ranges? What are the demographics? What does it look like? To really allow someone to go, okay, if I'm interested in investment banking, chances are I need to do that on campus. But you know, and finding out all these other ways to do things like that. So Find Your Fit is what I'd say, go to one of our events, go to any of our events. I'd say reach out to a student. We have them on the website. There's so many ways and we want you to connect. And I'm sure all these schools want you to connect because our job is the outcome. Our job is to make sure that we find the people and facilitate that good outcome. So that's what I'd say.
All right. I think you can find your fit with any of these programs, any time. And I want to thank each and every one of you for a terrific session. Really enjoyed it. Thank you for sharing an hour with us. And I want to remind everyone that if you have direct questions on each of these programs or anything else involving online learning, you're free to go into a breakout room with all of our panelists. They each have their own breakout room so you can ask specific questions about the program, how many intakes there are, what the admission requirements are, what you can expect if you're in the program, how long you can stretch it out, how quickly you can get it done, who you're going to meet in those classes, and what you're going to learn. This is John Byrne with Poets and Quants. Thank you for watching. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Thank
Take
you.
care.